Good morning, Lourdes. How are you today?
Terrific. How are you?
I'm doing great. So today's our Thursday Q&A. I'm going to answer a couple of questions, and usually we only have time for you to answer one question and for me to answer one question. So we're going to go through 2 questions today. All right, so let me just go back to us. And hold on one second. All right, so let me go back to just us so we can answer these questions. So would you like to begin, or you want me to start it off?
I'll go ahead and start. I have a question that Here's my question. How can I overcome self-doubt and start believing in myself? And, this is something that a lot of people struggle with, the inability to believe in themselves. It's something that I myself struggled with for a long time, but it requires action. It requires stepping out of your comfort zone and adopting a growth mindset. Mm-hmm. And knowing that you have to be compassionate with yourself. It's not about perfection. It's not about doing it right. It's about making progress. And mm-hmm. sometimes people don't want to take a risk in trying something new or venturing out of their comfort zone because they don't want to make a fool out of themselves. They don't want to embarrass themselves. They fear failure. And that mm-hmm. fear of failure can really hold you back and just keep you in a small square where, okay, this is what I can do, and anything outside of this is beyond my comfort zone. And so it's about expanding beyond your comfort zone, taking measured risks, and being compassionate when things don't go perfectly or as planned. And again, with the growth mindset of, okay, this is how it went today. I'm going to keep working on it, and it's going to get better, because as I've probably said 100 times, if I've said it once, what we practice grows stronger in everything that we've ever learned to do, right? The more time that we dedicate, the more effort we exert, the more progress we're going to make, and the better we're going to get at it. So I would say to someone who's struggling with self-doubt is pick one thing to try, one thing to, come out of your comfort zone with, and, build skills there, boost your self-belief by proving to yourself that you can stick with it and you can gain mastery. And yes, it's going to take time, but it really is about taking action. It's not something that you can do passively. It's not something that you can, read a book and feel better about yourself through. It's about taking action and putting yourself out there, taking that risk, a calculated risk.
I love your answer, because it's exactly what you said. In order to really gain confidence, self-confidence and belief in yourself, it is action. It is taking action 100%, because how else are you going to prove it to yourself that you can believe in yourself? It takes action. Like if you want to prove to somebody else that you're worthy, or show people that you have the skills to do something, not so much worthy, but the skills or the ability to do something, you would take action. Well, for yourself, you have to do the same thing. You have to take action. If you're interested in anything, just, sure, start with the book, but then do something. I love the answer. Thank you, Lourdes. So, and
I just want to add really quickly
yes.
about, as you're making progress, right? Don't measure yourself from, let's say you want to run a 10K and you've never even run a mile. So don't assess from, this is where I am and this is where I want to be and I'm not there yet, like take into account, okay, now I can run a mile, now I can run 2 miles, and it's like measure your progress not from what your goal is, but from where you started to what you've achieved.
Right.
So basically, acknowledge the progress that you've made, as opposed to always looking at the distance between where you are and where you want to be.
Yeah, I love that, because the distance between where you want to be and where you are, that's a timeline. And so there's like each like slot is, okay, my first goal, my second goal, my third goal, and so on until you reach that goal. I love that. I love the imagery that you just painted. And, as we always say, what you're creating with those words.
Thank you.
So thank you for that answer. And my question is from someone who says, why do I get angry so easily, and how can I change that? And so I love working with people that have anger issues, because I know it's something that you can overcome. And to this specific person, what I always say as far as the technique, if you're not speaking with someone, begin journaling. Begin journaling. The fight that you're having is an internal fight. It's based on something that happened in the past. It is a trigger. And a trigger takes in not just how people speak to you, but your trigger can be initiated by one of your 5 senses. So a memory can be triggered at a subconscious level from a smell, from the touch of a fabric. It can be from the overall environment can trigger you. I know people that had to overcome being triggered by people that drink alcohol, by people that become even slightly drunk is a trigger for them. And so what you have to do is understand that at that moment, you feel possibly vulnerable and out of control. Or there's a part of you that is recalling that you are not in control. And a lot of times when we're not in control, we feel vulnerable. Now, the thing is to step into the adult in you and comfort the child in you that feels vulnerable. So it's a part of you that feels vulnerable. And as the adult, especially if you're someone who feels like they can assert themselves, feels like they can speak up, if you feel physically that you could defend yourself, or that you're never in a situation that you are really in a life-threatening situation, then you have to realize that it's ego-threatening, and it's something that is from a child part of you. It's something that occurred in the past. And so you can say to yourself, okay, so yeah, I remember when these people used to get drunk and it felt dangerous for me, but I'm an adult now and this is not the same situation. Now, the thing with anger that makes it so difficult for people to work with is that you're centered and then you get anger, you experience anger and you basically go offline. When people say, I saw red, or I just, disconnected from myself. I wasn't myself. It's because it really triggered you and you became super vulnerable. And what you have to start to do, which is meditation, is also fantastic. Mindfulness, awareness, and say, oh, okay, this has what I'm triggered about. You have to be objective, and you become more objective as opposed to being subjective when you start doing things like journaling, mindfulness, awareness, all of these things, even yoga, they help you to become more objective. And you go, oh, okay, this circumstance has nothing to do with me, and I can remove myself. There's no threat. And so the minute that you start to, the second that you start feeling in your body any sensation of, blood pressure or anything like that, that's when you have to go, oh, I need a couple of seconds here. Excuse yourself. Go to the bathroom. Go outside. Start deep breathing, because when you have anxiety and anger, you stop breathing. Your body stops breathing. It becomes difficult for you to breathe. Start breathing, and progressively you'll start analyzing and saying, okay, this has nothing to do with right now. And then you'll re-engage. And as an adult, you'll re-engage at a higher level where you can say, oh, I'm not in danger. This has nothing to do with me. That has to do with that person. That's their situation. I can just walk away. So
you
answer that question?
Well, I think you basically, I think you channeled my answer in your answer, because as anyone who has watched more than one video knows, that I really delve deep into mindfulness and meditation, and it's a tool to use in this type of situation. Now, when you've been triggered, you might not have the wherewithal to, you might have gone from zero to 60 so quickly that you might not have the wherewithal. But then maybe perhaps, while you're journaling, look back and assess what happened, and maybe what were the physical clues that you received from your body, letting you know that you were beginning to be triggered, that you were going into, a feeling of vulnerability, not feeling safe, and, activate for yourself what those signs were, so that next time you can say, oh, I can feel my heart beating faster. I can feel that lump in my throat. I can feel those, that tension in my jaw, wherever you might be experiencing it, and then use that information going forward, and use, the mindfulness, the meditation, the deep breathing to kind of dial yourself back. But when you're being triggered by someone else's behavior, really it's, you have agency to look at the why.
Yes.
The why is their behavior triggering me? What is this bringing up in me? What is the unsafety, that feeling of unsafety, of lack of security that's being triggered in me? When is that from? And how do I, kind of, like you said, comfort that child in myself and reassure them that they are safe, and I have resources, and I have agency as an adult, and I don't have to be reactive because, this person's behavior is reminding me in some way of a time when those things weren't true.
Right. And I would just interject as well, and I love your answer. I would interject that after this moment has passed, this anger, and you are reflecting, it's so important to dial into self-compassion. Dial into that self-compassion. Don't waste your time judging yourself, shaming yourself, guilting yourself. And like we spoke about before with the timeline, when you set the goal, just remember, this now will become something from the past, because now you're going to take action. Now you're going to say, oh, what triggered me? Was it a smell? Was it the words? Was it a memory? It could be.
Was it the tone of voice?
Was it the tone of voice? Yeah, absolutely.
Was it a particular word?
Right. And then be compassionate and say, okay, I am going to take full responsibility for why and what happened and how I was triggered, but I'm going to do it with love. I'm going to love that part of me that doesn't feel safe. And that self-compassion, that's going to take you to your goal a lot faster than anything else, because what you need is you.
Yeah. Beating yourself up, being hard on yourself, that's ineffective. And showing yourself the same love, acceptance, understanding, and compassion that you would offer to a friend or family member.
Yeah.
Giving that to yourself is so key.
Yes. Awesome. Great. Well, I appreciate everyone who watched the show, and also we will be back on Tuesday, and we will dive into some conversations about coaching, perhaps some skills, tools, that resources that you can, basically resource yourself. You have the resources, and we love to talk about that.
Yeah.
So, Lourdes, I will see you next week. Thank you very much. And we will talk soon.
Thank you. See you next week.
See you next week.